What if I told you that you don't need 10 lenses to shoot like a professional traveler, just 3? Most people buy lens after lens thinking more gear means better photos. But the truth is, almost every travel shot ever taken falls into just 3 categories: wide, standard, and telephoto. Stick around because by the end of this video, you'll know the exact 3 lenses that cover everything and the one you should buy first. If you enjoy this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. The system is built around 3 classic zoom ranges: a 16 to 35mm f2.8, a 24 to 70mm f2.8, and a 70 to 200mm f4. Together, these cover almost every situation a traveler will run into: huge landscapes, narrow city alleys, portraits, distant architecture, even wildlife. But before you panic about your budget, let's be clear about something up front. This is a system, not a shopping list. Nobody needs to carry all 3 lenses on every single outing. Think of this less as buy all 3 tomorrow and more as a roadmap for building your kit over time. First up, the wide-angle zoom, your storyteller lens. This is what you reach for when you need to show the scale of a place. At 16 millimeters, it swallows entire mountain ranges, beaches, city skylines, and cramped hotel interiors where there's simply no room to step back. As you zoom toward 24 or 35 millimeters, it shifts into a more natural perspective, great for environmental portraits, street scenes, and travel vlogging. And because it holds a constant f2.8 aperture, it still performs well in dim interiors, blue-hour cityscapes, and night markets. A strong real-world example is the Sony FE 16 to 35mm f2.8 GM Mark II, around 547 grams, weather-resistant, and surprisingly compact for a professional-grade ultra-wide. If you're shooting a different system, look for similar specs: a fast, weather-sealed, ultra-wide zoom in this range. The trade-off here is distortion. Put a face too close to the edge of a wide-angle frame and it stretches unnaturally. So this lens is a landscape and architecture powerhouse, but you'll want to be careful using it for close-up portraits. Next is the lens that should basically live on your camera, the 24 to 70mm f2.8. This is the workhorse of the entire kit. At 24 millimeters, it handles landscapes, group shots, and establishing scenes. In the 35 to 50 millimeter range, it becomes your street photography and food market lens, the one that captures everyday travel moments as they happen. And by 70 millimeters, it's flattering enough for portraits with real background separation. The Sony FE 24 to 70mm f2.8 GM Mark II is a great benchmark here, about 695 grams, weather-sealed, with close focusing ability and consistent exposure throughout the zoom range. What makes this lens so important is that it can cover most of your trip without you constantly swapping glass, which matters a lot in dusty, crowded, or fast-moving environments. The catch: premium 24 to 70mm f2.8 lenses aren't cheap, and they're heavier than slower alternatives. If budget or weight is a bigger concern for you, an f4 version or a 24 to 105mm can be a smart compromise. You'll just give up a bit of low-light performance and background blur. The final piece of the puzzle is the 70 to 200mm f4, your reach lens. This is for everything you can't physically walk up to: distant landmarks, mountain peaks, wildlife, candid street moments, ceremonies from a distance. But it's not just about zooming in. Telephoto compression actually changes the look of an image, stacking mountains behind a subject or pulling distant layers of a landscape closer together. The Sony FE 70 to 200mm f4 Macro G Mark II with optical steady shot is a fantastic travel option, about 794 grams built-in stabilization, and up to half-life size macro magnification throughout its zoom range, which means it doubles as a lens for food, flowers, and small details. Choosing f4 instead of f2.8 here is a deliberate travel decision. You lose one stop of light, so it's less ideal for dark indoor events, but you gain a lens that's dramatically lighter and easier to carry all day. Here's why this trio actually functions as a system rather than 3 random lenses. Between them, you get nearly continuous coverage from 16 millimeters all the way to 200 millimeters. The wide angle sets the scene, the standard zoom carries the story, and the telephoto isolates the details. Picture a single day, a wide mountain landscape at sunrise on the 16 to 35, a bustling local market at 35 millimeters on the everyday zoom, a portrait at 70 millimeters, and a distant temple rooftop captured at 200 millimeters, all without a single gap in your focal range. Using the Sony examples we mentioned, the full trio weighs around 2 kilograms combined before you even add the camera body. So let's be honest, this is a powerful kit, but it's not a genuinely lightweight one. That's exactly why we're about to talk about which one to buy first. Quick note if you're shooting APS-C, Canon RFS, Sony Crop, Nikon DX, or Fujifilm. These focal lengths are full-frame equivalents, and crop factor changes your actual field of view. A 16 to 35 millimeter lens behaves more like a 24 to 52 millimeter equivalent on a typical APS-C body, no longer truly ultra-wide. So if that's you, look instead for something like a 10 to 20 millimeter for your wide-angle roll, a 16 to 55 millimeter or 17 to 70 millimeter for your everyday lens, and a 50 to 140 millimeter or 70 to 180 millimeter for your telephoto. Same system, just scaled to your sensor. So if you're building this kit from scratch, here's the order that makes the most sense. Start with a 24 to 70 millimeter. It's the most versatile lens and will cover the majority of what you shoot. Add the 16 to 35 millimeter next, once landscapes, architecture, or video become a bigger part of your work. And bring in the 70 to 200 millimeter last, when portraits, wildlife, or distant details start mattering to your shots. This way, you're building a kit around what you actually shoot, not just buying everything at once because a video told you to. Now, some honesty. This system is built for serious travel photographers, hybrid shooters, and people who want reliable image quality in almost any situation. But if your top priority is the lightest possible bag, the smallest possible budget, or serious wildlife reach beyond 200 millimeters, this isn't your kit. A casual traveler might be far better served by a single 24 to 105 millimeter lens or an APS-C super zoom. And if wildlife is your main focus, you'll eventually want something in the 300 to 600 millimeter range instead. At the end of the day, travel photography doesn't need dozens of lenses collecting dust in a drawer. It needs 3 clear rolls, wide for the destination, standard for the story, and telephoto for the details. Most people think better photos come from more gear, but honestly, the opposite is usually true. The photographers who consistently come home with strong shots aren't the ones carrying the heaviest bag. They're the ones who know exactly which lens to grab and why. So here's the simple version to remember. Start with the everyday zoom because it'll cover the majority of your trip on its own. Once you find yourself wanting bigger landscapes, better architecture shots, or more cinematic video, that's your sign to add the wide angle. And once portraits, wildlife, or distant details start showing up in your shot list, that's when the telephoto earns its place in your bag. You don't need to buy all 3 at once, and you definitely don't need to carry all 3 every single day. Build this kit the way your actual travels demand it, not the way a video tells you to. If this changed the way you think about your own travel kit, that's exactly what this channel is here for. Breaking down gear decisions so you spend less time guessing and more time actually shooting. So if you found this useful, don't forget to like this video, subscribe for more travel gear breakdowns, and share it with a fellow traveler who's still lugging around 6 lenses they don't need.